Bonsoir, bienvenue. This is my final portfolio project for French 111, and I hope you enjoy. Bonjour, je suis Eric Diaz, je suis de Pologne. Aux États-Unis, j'ai 20 Mon anniversaire est le 27 avril. Je suis beau et jeune, je ne sais pas fort. Je suis très comique et gentil. Je ne sais pas beau et grande. Tout le monde. J'aime jouer à football. J'aime manger des pommes. J'aime écouter la musique du rap. J'aime étudier. J'aime danser et chanter. Voici ma famille. Ma famille est nombreuse. Nous sommes 20. Ma femme Rebecca a 27 ans. Nous vivons de Beaverton, Oregon. Ma mère Teresa a 55 ans. Elle vit dans de Beaverton, Oregon. Mon frère Francisco a 30 ans. Il vit dans Portland, Oregon. Ma sœur Alejandra Johnson est 37 ans. Il vit dans Portland, Oregon. Ma femme est petite, belle et jeune. Ma femme n'est pas blonde ou haute. Ma femme aimait la danse et cuisine. Ma mère est vieille, forte et gentille. Ma mère n'est pas comique ou grande. Ma mère adore voyager et danser. Elle n'est pas travailler. Ma mère n'aime pas nager. Ma femme n'aimait pas chanter. Je ressemble ma mère. Nous sommes comme deux gouttes. Ma soeur et moi sommes agréables, réserve et travailler. Nous aimons écouter du rap et danser. J'aimais aller à la plage ou la montagne avec ma famille. The song that I chose in French, Poisson Rouge. The thing I thought was interesting about this song, just off the bat, was Poisson means fish, rouge, red. But it actually means goldfish is what she is referring to in this song. I came across this song having watched a movie called A Simple Favor, where one of the actors plays this song in the background. And instantly it stood out to me within that movie. And I looked it up and I started listening to it because I happened to be taking this French class not long before I watched the movie. It's a beautiful song. It's very different than most pop songs or popular songs you would hear in the radio today. And I think the instrumentation to it is beautiful. It's very subtle, and it definitely sounds different when the female in this song sings it. Her accent and everything, it adds a very subtle twang to the song, and it's just different than anything I've heard of. The song itself, I don't see if there's any specific meaning behind it. She refers to the goldfish quite a bit, Le Poisson Rouge. She refers to having a lover in things that remind her of this person, Charles. Aside from that, I just honestly thought it was a very interesting song that I enjoyed listening to. And if you click on the link, well, not that you can, this is a presentation, but if you look up the song, it's actually a very good song to listen to. It's very catchy and it's a very mellow song. And now we move on to probably one of my favorite films of all time, regardless of language or anything, Le Diabolique. I first watched this movie actually many, many years ago when I was in high school. My film teacher was covering movies in the horror genre. Alfred Hitchcock was one that came up, and Les Diaboliques was a movie that we watched in that film class. Amazingly done. If you've never watched this movie, I highly suggest you watch it, regardless of whether you speak French, Spanish, English, or whatever it may be. The cinematography is amazing. The director in this particular movie, I'm going to butcher his last name because I honestly can't pronounce it, Klaus, what directed this movie, and his wife, Vera, was one of the lead characters. It's actually this lead female with the polka dotted dress. The movie is in essence about the wife who is played by Vera and the mistress that's standing over here. The two of them work in a boarding school, and they are working under a sadist, very bad man. Ultimately, these two women plan their death. This is a movie that, unlike its time, had very strong female characters where they took charge, which, like I said, was very uncommon for this time. Again, it's a beautiful film. I think the French influence to it was not so obvious. If you were to think about the scenery and the subtleties of the movie itself, you could see the difference between what would have been, a typical U.S. film as opposed to French film. And mind you, this film was made back in, I believe, the late 1950s. But again, it's the dynamic of this movie and the immersion within the French culture that it gives you that sight of is absolutely amazing. Again, if you've never watched it, it's one of those must-watch movies. Nous sommes des mots. Between Mademoiselle Horner and Desailly, they're having a conversation of ultimately planning to kill their husband and by means of drowning him. I'm not going to read the whole thing because, let's be honest, my French isn't that good. But the idea between this exchange is one is having second thoughts. She's wondering, are we monsters? Are we, bad people for wanting to do this? And ultimately she asks the other character, do you think God would frown upon this? And summed up in so many words. And she says, no, I don't believe in God, and I haven't for some time. And it references a lot to the, the physical and mental abuse that she suffered in the course of her lifetime. A few of the words that I found that were applicable, since we were talking about 10 words that we found interesting, I decided to do half of them in a field of study and the other half in hobbies because I wanted to diversify it a little bit. The form that was my favorite was Président Directeur Général. This is what is referred to as a CEO in France. Again, very different than what we're used to seeing in Chief Executive Officer. The direct translation would be President Director General. So again, very different. Le commerce, meaning business, une association, referring to a non-profit, but they say à bon lucratif. So it translates out to non-lucrative or non-profit. L'économie, economy. I'm a business administrations major by trade, so this is why I chose these different vocabulary words. Je dois lire. J'aimais aller au cinéma. J'aimais aller à la vacation. J'aimais aller à la plage. Jouer jeux vidéo. All of my favorite hobbies, playing video games, going to the movies, vacationing, going to the beach, reading, many things that I enjoy, and now I can say in French. With that, I wrap up my presentation, and I hope you all enjoyed. À bientôt. It's been a pleasure, and I look forward to hearing from you.